to do, especially if you have a good place to get beers, like Murph says he does. So, good times.
Absolutely. And then, Coop, I think for Venice, you just got to like sit in some boats or something, right? I think I know everything that you do in Venice. You just sit in a boat down the canals.
Yeah, I mean that's the word, dude. That's the word. Maybe buy some fancy leather goods. I'm gonna see what kind of shoes they got going on out there, at least, But
got like a thing in Venice.
I think it's like an Italy thing. Italian leather is a big thing. I know Spain as well. Pretty good leather industry over in Mallorca. But I think that's pretty much maybe it's not. Maybe it's specific to cities. But I thought Italy in general is where you buy leather goods. No.
Absolutely. Hal in the chat saying finding you guys today is like chasing girls in high school. And so you guys just got arrested for stealing a gondola. Yeah, that's what's going on.
Not again.
Guys, we are going to be right back. Whenever we come back, we are talking to Monday Night Football and playing some Fantasy Feud a little bit later today as well. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Talk done better.
Coop, we did have a question for you. Get Into Game wants to ask if you could create an all tight end team. Like, who would be your top tight ends, like your favorite guys that you would put on your all tight end team?
Or does he want me to do an all tight end team where I fill out all the positions? Because
I could do that could work as well. Yeah, you want to do that?
So a wide receiver one, split end would be Kyle Pitts.
Checks out. I knew you were going to say Kyle Pitts.
Now on the other side, I would have Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
At the actual tight end slot, inline tight end.
Okay.
In the slot, I would have Tony Gonzalez, who under Chan Gailey for the Chiefs back in mid 2010s, he led the league in routes run from the slot. Now at quarterback, I would have Logan Thomas, a converted quarterback that now plays tight end. Right at running back, give me Jonnu Smith, a guy that has multiple rushing touchdowns. He could bring it up and down the field. At left tackle, give me Michael Pruitt, one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league. At right tackle, give me Nick Boyle.
Are you doing this all off the top of your head?
Of course. At guard, like we got to fill out the line with the best blocking tight ends that I can think of. So actually at center, give me a guy that's been a captain on a team because you need a strong, smart player at center. Give me Mercedes Lewis, a guy that's been in the league for a long time, one of the premier blockers. At guard, you're gonna want a little speed, a little heft. So I'll take a current guy, Albert Akwe-Bunam. I'll put him 6'6", 260, put him at left guard, have him do some swing routes, have him run around. At right guard, I'll take, give me Jason Witten. Just give me a big monster to throw in.
Get him out of the booth.
Throw down the run blocking. And
can we put this in like a graphic?
As my fullback, move tight end, I'm going to go with a guy that's played a bunch of fullback. He's played a bunch of move tight end. Very underrated. Give me Chris Cooley, former Redskins tight end, move tight end, Chris Cooley. So that would be my all-time tight end offense.
Now radio personality.
I am
in the DMV.
I am so impressed. Not just like you didn't just pull out those names and you didn't stop after the positional guys. You said we're talking O-line here too, because that's an important part of the offense. Coop, I could not put together a better all tight end team right now.
Now put a full depth chart together.
You'd be insane to do it.
Punter.
I feel like a maniac just having done that.
Who's the punter and who's kicking field goals?
Punter easily is going to be Algie Crumpler, because right off the
best name I've ever heard.
Kind of sounds like punter. Seems like he could boot the ball.
Crumpler the punter.
Crumpler punter. And then for kicker, we just want to have as many all-time greats on the roster. So give me Antonio Gates.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We are about to break down that Monday Night Football game, go over our player prop draft from yesterday, declare the winners. Before we do that, though, we had some questions in the chat I wanted to hit on. I see Tommy over here saying, you guys trying to shake me? Absolutely not. We're trying to keep you guys. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, but thank you everyone for following us and making sure you get back in here. We had a question from Dennis. Dennis asked us 10-team half PPR league. Who would you pick up? Rest of season, they're looking at upside, potential bell cows. Sitting on the waiver wires, James Robinson, Michael Carter, Chuba Hubbard, Deonta Foreman, and Isaiah Pacheco. Coop, which of those names would you be prioritizing on the waiver wire this week? Rest of season upside.
Damn, that is tough. So the thing with James Robinson, Michael Carter is we know what that's going to be. It's probably going to be Michael Carter on pass downs, James Robinson on rundowns, right? James Robinson has 20 pounds on Michael Carter. Michael Carter is pretty good pass catching back. With Isaiah Pacheco, that is complete. That's the one that has the highest upside, but probably again, they also use Jerick McKinnon. I think I'm going for Deonta Foreman of that crew, just because we saw him have the big game this week. We saw Chuba not only have the ankle, but Chuba also has gotten the opportunity to have this role in the past on a better Panthers team, and he wasn't that good. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a split issue. So I'm going Deonta Foreman there. I don't know. Do you guys lean a different player? I could be convinced Michael Carter, but the way the question was formatted makes me not want a Michael Carter that might end up being like the Kareem Hunt in this offense. You know, he could be the safest, but I think Deonta Foreman has the biggest upside.
No, I'm with
Dale,
you. It's Deonta Foreman for me as well.
No, I agree. I think Foreman does have the highest upside. Sutton is a little interesting. I was trying to look up who their matchup is.
This is a different question.
This week.
Different question.
Okay.
This is a rest of season
Foreman
question. Yeah, we have Tyson's question is next. We should hit on that one right after this one. This is a rest of season question.
Yeah.
Run it back one more time.
James Robinson, Michael Carter, Chuba Hubbard, Deonta Foreman, or Isaiah Pacheco rest of season as an upside play off the waiver wire.
Yeah, Deonta Foreman is the name that stands out for sure. Coop's absolutely correct there.
Yeah, but to the question the jail was alluding to, Tyson asked, start Pollard, Foreman, or Sutton PPR flex. Pollard, Foreman, or Sutton. Jail, it sounds like you're still going Foreman here, but Sutton was intriguing to you.
PPR formats, yeah, Sutton is intriguing. They're going against Jacksonville. I don't know that we haven't had any news yet on Russell Wilson that I've seen anyway. So if it's Brett Rippin under center there, then it might be a little interesting for Sutton. I think I'd still go Foreman here.
Can we
what
just
about you,
real
Coop?
quick talk about how Brett Rippin, like every time it was like, and I tweeted a meme about this, but like every time it was like 4th and 2, he was just like chalking it up to Cortland Sutton, like 50 yards downfield, right? Like that's a move that you do if it works. Like if they're thinking short yardage and your guy gets behind him, you do that. But he didn't even care. I think he decided
9 targets, 3 receptions.
Only 3 receptions. Yeah, so that's kind of rough. But he also got Sauce Gardner, so I think the 9 targets is promising, and he'll probably have a better game versus Jacksonville. Who's Foreman got? My concern for Foreman is that the Panthers are bad. Falcons. I think I'd still go Foreman, but I'm not dropping Sutton, and there are a lot of situations where I would use Sutton.
Yeah, I think I'm going Foreman as well here, but you can't drop Sutton. Absolutely. We had another question in here from Lucius. Lucius wanted to know, what's another tight end besides Kelsey and Andrews that I can trust in a half PPR league? So Coop, the tight end tickler, Kelsey and Andrews are the ones that have the people's trust. But if you're looking for that guy that you can trust week in, week out, you don't want to stream. Who is it?
Yeah, half PPR. If this was full PPR, I'd say Evan Ingram goes on that list. I think Dallas Goedert is on that list right now as a, not super high upside guy, but he's pretty consistently involved. I'm concerned about Gerald Everett and Zach Ertz that as other guys get healthy, they're going to be tough to trust. But as long as Marquise Brown's out, Zach Ertz could be on the menu. But for me, honestly, I look at Evan Ingram as a guy that you could potentially add off the wire in some leagues. And he basically had 2 bad games. One game where Derwin James just took him right out of the game. And then the Jaguars-Eagles game that was played essentially in a hurricane. Besides that, he's had, his last games, 4 games outside of that one, 8 targets, 10 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. Where else are you getting that from? So for me, Evan Ingram is a guy that I'm willing to plug in and just trust kind of rest of the season in a lot of spots.
What about you, Jail? Any other tight end names that come to mind?
No, none that come to mind this week. Did you already mention Juwan Johnson?
No, I didn't. But Juwan Johnson is another one that, as long as because he was asking the rest of the season, and I'm a little worried that when Adam Trotman comes back, it kind of dilutes the snaps a bit.
Yeah, blow it up. Yeah.
But for the time being, I agree that, like, especially if Jameis is back and Trotman's out, Juwan Johnson, get him in there. People on Reddit were very upset, or not upset, but they had a lot of questions as to why I was so high on Juwan Johnson this week. And it was because he's a wide receiver that plays wide receiver that you can start at tight end. That's why I like Juwan Johnson.
That usually helps out tight end production. Dennis in here wanted to know, should I trade Brian Robinson for Montgomery? Rest of season, half PPR. I'd mainly do it because of opportunities, touches, opinion. Yeah, if you can get that done, do it right now. Go get David Montgomery.
Right now.
They were like the game yesterday. I don't know that it's like, we still saw David Montgomery get 15 attempts, which is positive. It's just what I want to see. Brian Robinson, they love him there. But I see this as a kind of lateral move. I don't see a massive jump here. PPR probably rather have Robinson.
Well, Robinson just caught his first 2 passes this week. I was going to go the other way.
Yeah, they're just not really using Dave Montgomery in the receiving game a ton. Just like in two games.
I was going to say, it's not like they've used him some. Last week it was 1 target. This week 0 targets. But there's other games where he's been used somewhat, right? Where he's been used in that receiving game. Maybe more so than Robinson, but I just think Montgomery has more opportunity rest of season, and they're both in pretty bad offenses. So it's not like the offense is a tiebreaker.
You guys were on the Montgomery side?
Yeah, I'm on Montgomery. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My brain. Then yeah, I'm with you guys 100% on the Montgomery side.
Yeah, just mix up the names right there.
I thought you guys were both going Robinson. I was like, I don't know, guys. Dave Montgomery is getting a lot of work.
I'm with you. Yeah, David Montgomery.
DJ Duvernay wants to know if we think Montgomery could be traded at the deadline for the Bears, since it's a rebuilding team and it's his contract year. Coop, do you see a trade in the future for Mr. David Montgomery?
I mean, it's entirely possible. The question is where he's going to go. But think about it this way: any team that trade, like, you want your running back to get traded for, because any team that's trading for running backs right now thinks that they are good enough to win, and most of those teams have good offenses. And despite what we saw last night, the Bears are not a good offense. So I'm rooting for him to get traded, especially because then now it unlocks Khalil Herbert. The question is, what kind of landing spots are available that you would want him to go to? Like, what teams are buying? You know, like, if he was going to get traded, the Jets probably would have wanted him instead of James Robinson, right?
Yeah, surely.
Sure, they asked. I wonder if there's like some
it's all going to depend on demand. I think they could do it. I think it's just going to depend on demand. If there's demand out there, someone wants to trade for them, I'm sure the Bears would be interested in that. Like the question said, it is the Bears. I don't think are under the illusion that they're going to really contend this year. So
right.
it would make sense. It'd be a smart move if they can get value from it.
Yeah. Mark in here wanted to know, what player should I go for to try and replace Brees? So we've been talking some waiver wire already. It sounds like the top waiver wire pickup at running back this week is Deonta Foreman. Are there any other players you guys would be trying to add to replace him if he's still out there? But he's probably not out there. Michael Carter, James Robinson, Gus Edwards. I think in the short term, Gus is a great pickup, but that's not going to be the rest of the season. That's going to be a couple weeks while J.K. Dobbins is out.
I think it's still Michael Carter. Like, if I could add, like, if you asked me if I could add Kareem Hunt right now off waivers, would I do it? I would. And I think that's what Michael Carter's role is going to end up being. For the short term, it's going to be even better. But I think he's going to be the pass down back on that team. James Robinson will be the goal line back. So I'm still adding Michael Carter in any sort of half or full PPR leagues. If it's standard, then I might go James Robinson.
We had a question here from Tyson. He wants to know, has there been any talks about Cam Akers getting traded? I'm still holding him in hopes he pops off if he gets moved to a good situation. And yeah, we talked about it this morning. The Rams had an offer in for Christian McCaffrey that involved Cam Akers. So it's like we know that they're actively shopping him. That was for Christian McCaffrey, obviously. So that's a big time player, but they're not opposed to moving Cam Akers from this team. I don't know any other updates besides that potential trade we saw to the Panthers for CMC.
Right. The problem is that Cam Akers, by doing what he did, has shot his trade value in the foot. So the team doesn't like, other teams are looking at it and they're like, this guy decided he doesn't want to play for you anymore. Like, why are we going to give you anything of value for this player? You know, same with Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Like, if you actually want to get traded, openly going to the media and then getting yourself like kicked off the team for a week is not a good way to get yourself traded. The best way to get yourself traded is probably to do that behind closed
Ball
doors.
out.
Right. Ball out and then do it behind closed doors and like don't crush your trade value, right? Because if you want to get moved, then you want to be a valuable player. Like if I'm a team, I look at Elijah Moore, I'm like, why am I gonna want this baby who's crying about targets on a team that's won like what, 3 in a row, 4 in a row?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's it makes it a little bit harder for the opposing teams trying to trade for you. We had another question in here. This one coming from Raheem said, I was offered Kamara and Hopkins for Kelsey. Keep in mind, I have Waller and Ertz on the bench. I have to make this trade, right? So Kamara and Hopkins for Travis Kelsey. JL, are you making this move if you've got Waller and Ertz sitting on the bench?
Probably not. That is
It's a lot. It's a lot for Kelsey, but
it's a lot for Kelsey. But if Kamara doesn't if the Coop Whisperer is right about Kamara, this is a
But
pro move.
I'll tell you right now, even then, I'll still take the Kamara and Hopkins side. Like I don't think Hopkins for Kelsey straight up is kind of fair. You get a little.
You convince me.
You
That's
get the
fair. You convince me, Coop.
you get the positional scarcity of Kelsey, which makes him a little more valuable than Hopkins. But I mean,
Points wise, you're probably gonna Hopkins is probably gonna outscore
right. And
Kelsey.
You got
rest of the
Kamara
season.
and the Kamara on there. Plus, you just gotta hope and pray that one of Waller or Ertz. I mean, Ertz for the time being. I know he didn't have a great week this past week, but he's still a good start as long as Marquise Brown's out. In my opinion, it's down the stretch that it scares me because when he gets back and it's Hopkins and Marquise Brown and Robbie Anderson and Rondell Moore, that's when it's tough situation for Ertz.
Absolutely. We had one more question in here. This one coming from our friend Eric. He said, someone just offered me Lockett for Scary Terry PPR. Thoughts? So, JL, you taking Lockett or Scary Terry in a PPR league rest of the season?
It's lateral. I'm not taking either side. I guess I'd rather have. I don't know who I'd rather have. I think they're pretty even. So it's a wash for me.
Whoever's on your team, that's who you're rolling with.
Yeah.
I'm keeping Terry simply because I think they're, like JL says, in a vacuum, they would be exactly even in my opinion. But Lockett got nicked up. He was banged up, had that rough game. And anytime that happens, I'm a little worried it could happen again.
We got some trade questions. I love talking trades. So if you guys have trade questions, throw them in there.
Real quick, before we move on, I just want to say, this is what I do in that situation. When someone offers me the 2 guys at the same position straight up that are even, ask that dude. Be like, hey, what's your thought process on that? Why are you off? Why is that guy trying to pull that on you? Like, why does he think that Lockett is that much better? Or is he doing it because of bye weeks or something? Then it makes sense. But I'd be like, hey, I'll think about it. Why? What's your thought process? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to ask people. Like, anytime I get a 1-for-1, what are you trying to do? You know what I mean?
Well, then you quickly find out if they're full of BS or not based on their response as well. Their response could be like, well, Terry's really been underperforming recently. Like, if they start giving you some BS on why your player sucks and their player is good, they're trying to pull one over on you.
Acceptable responses. Acceptable responses. If he goes, I'm going to start Geno and I want to stack Geno with Lockett, right? Something like that. Or he's getting Terry. He's like,
Terry,
yeah. So he's not going to start Taylor Heineke. So there's no stack involved. If he says, 3 of my guys have bye week 11. So, I need to move guys for bye week. That's acceptable. But if he's just he's going to try and spin some tale about, whatever's going on, then he's just trying to pull the rug out from under you. So don't do it.
Don't do it. Bronson wants to know, should I trade Josh Jacobs for Jamar Chase? Now, that's a return on value for Josh Jacobs. I know running back is deep. I'm fine with either side of this trade. Know what I mean? I'm fine if you make it. I'm fine if you don't. This really comes down to team construction. Do you have the running backs to be able to eat this? Because if not, Josh Jacobs is a great rest of season play. Like, you're not sacrificing. You're not upset that you have him instead of Jamar Chase. But, man, if you got the depth, I'd make this move. Grab some Jamar Chase. But I want to know who your other running backs are.
For me, I think this trade's exactly fair, but I would keep Josh Jacobs because he's already had his bye week. But if it makes your overall, again, like Simon said, roster construction, if it makes your overall team better, then great. Do it.
And then Bronson also asking Zeke for James Robinson. Joe, would you be trading away Zeke for James Robinson?
Oh, boy. Yeah. I think I would be okay with that.
Getting James Robinson on the Jets in return for Ezekiel Elliott?
I think I would be okay with that.
Oh, I am so far on the other side. There's not a chance I would take that.
The reason I wouldn't take that is because I don't like 1-for-1 position trades. But I think that it's very likely that they could finish similarly rest of the season points wise. The Jets didn't trade for James Robinson to not play him. It's a very win now move. I expect them to utilize him, and the Jets offense has been semi decent over this season so far. Zeke's been plotting. He just hasn't looked as good. The offense hasn't been moving. I think they're closer than it might appear.
One way or another, Zeke will end up as an RB1 at the end of the season.
He will.
It's going to look ugly. It's going to look
ugly. I'm as
ugly.
big of a Zeke truther as anyone else. I've been on the Zeke train for a long time. He's going to return value. This is not a anti-Zeke take. It's a James Robinson has an opportunity take.
Man, I agree, but Ezekiel Elliott also has an opportunity, and we've seen what that breakdown is between him and Tony Pollard, right? Like, I know how that backfield splits up between Zeke and Pollard. I don't know how this backfield is going to split up between Robinson and Michael Carter. Like, that's a big uncertain point for me, and I'm fully comfortable with Zeke. Like Coop said, he finds his way into being an RB1. He may not be flashy, he may not be exciting, but you can start him week in, week out. I get what you're saying, Jale. At first, my reaction was a bit like, what the hell are you talking? But I get what you're saying. That opportunity is there in a Jets team that's much improved. Maybe some of that Jets stink is still hanging around for me. But
Zeke right now is the PPR is the running back 19 on the season. Running back 19 on the season. His snap share has been this past week was not great. In the last 2 weeks, he's been really buoyed by touchdowns, but he's getting opportunities. His usage, his attempts are up. Awesome. He's not turning it into anything. He's not turning that into fantasy points.
I mean, but he has been a top
he's slowly grinding his way up to
an RB2 season. Yeah,
RB1.
Yeah,
he's an RB1 every single year. Season. But I'll tell you, I have a secret grenade I'm about to pull out, throw on you, JL. You ready for this?
I'm not anti-Zeke. Stop throwing grenades at me.
Grenade incoming.
Just stay in their clothes.
Here it is. Hearing rumblings that Tyron Smith is improving quickly, faster than he was expected to, and it could make a late season return for this Cowboys. They could get their best offensive lineman back down the stretch this year, which
that is interesting news.
Big boost for Zeke at the most important time. So that's a grenade. Tyron Smith returned, and that's a difference maker for me because
that is a solid point.
Mekhi Becton ain't walking through that door for the Jets. And I think Elijah Vera Tucker just got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to Google that as well.
Yeah, it changes the landscape.
Elijah Vera Tucker out for the season as well. So they just lost.
Jay said hashtag fade Zeke.
They already lost Mekhi Becton. They just lost Elijah Vera Tucker for the season as well. So, yowza.
Yowza. Hallen here had a question for us. Said, give Boyd and Claypool, get Sutton and Jay Cook back. I have Singletary. So give Tyler Boyd and Chase Claypool, get Cortland Sutton and James Cook back. JL, you making this move?
Love it. I think that's a good move. I mean, Sutton to me is the best player in this trade. Boyd and Claypool are fill-in guys. They're guys that you throw in your lineup when you need a bye week fill-in. So yeah, go ahead and get Sutton, who's a starter.
Great trade, Hal. Yeah, you get Cortland Sutton and a roster spot that you can use to add someone.
So you just ignore just the disrespect to James Cook.
And a free roster spot. I mean, hey, those are valuable too. So
they are.
Guys, coming up, we are going to have some real talk. We're going to make sure to break down this Monday night football game as well. Pay out our bets from the player prop draft that we did yesterday. And we're playing some Fantasy Feud as well. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Bettor Sports Network.
It's Sports Talk done better.
Coop, we did have a question for you. Get into Game wants to ask if you could create an all-end team. Like, who would be your top tight ends? Like your favorite guys that you would put on your all tight end team?
Or does he want me to do an all tight end team where I fill out all the positions? Because I could do that.
That could work as well. Yeah, you want to do that?
So wide receiver 1, split end would be Kyle Pitts.
checks out. I knew you were going to say Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Now on the other side, I would have Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
At the actual tight end slot, inline tight end, I'd have Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
In the slot, I would have Tony Gonzalez, who under Chan Gailey for the Chiefs back in mid 2010s, he led the league in routes run from the slot. Now at quarterback, I would have Logan Thomas, a converted quarterback that now plays tight end. Right at running back, give me Jonnu Smith, a guy that has multiple rushing touchdowns. He could bring it up and down the field. At left tackle, give me Michael Pruitt, one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league. At right tackle, give me Nick Boyle.
Are you
Another
doing
excellent
those
blocking
all off
tight
the
end.
top of your head?
Of course. At
I'm
guard,
so impressed.
like we're gonna fill out the
Wow.
line with the best blocking tight ends that I can think of. So actually at center, give me a guy that's been a captain on a team because you need a strong, smart player at center. Give me
You need leadership.
Mercedes Lewis, a guy that's been in the league for a long time, one of the premier blockers. At guard, you're gonna want a little speed, a little heft. So I'll take our current guy Albert Akwe-Bunam. I'll put him 6'6", 260. Put him at left guard. Have him do some swing routes. Have him run around. At right guard, I'll take. Give me Jason Witten. Just give me a big monster to throw in.
Get
there
him
that
out
can
of the
actually
booth.
Throw down the run blocking. And
Can we put this in like a graphic?
as my fullback, move tight end, I'm gonna go with a guy that's played a bunch of fullback. He's played a bunch of move tight end. Very underrated. Give me Chris Cooley, former Redskins tight end, move tight end, Chris Cooley. So that would be my all-time tight end offense. If you need
Now
one.
radio personality.
The
The DMB.
I am so impressed. Not just like you didn't just pull out those names and you didn't stop after the positional guys. You said we're talking O-line here too, because that's an important part of the offense. Coop, I could not put together a better all tight end team right now.
Now put
I
it
can
full
promise
depth
you that.
chart together.
You'd be insane to do it. I
Punter,
I feel like
Coop.
I feel like a maniac just having done that. But we
Who's
do
the
tight
punter
ends.
and who's kicking field goals?
Punter easily is going to be Algie Crumpler, because right off the top
Best
of my
name
head,
I've ever heard.
kind of sounds like punter. Seems like he could boot the ball.
Crumpler the punter.
Algie
Crumpler, punter, and then for kicker, we just want to have as many all-time greats on the roster. So give me Antonio Gates.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We are live, and we're about to break down some Monday Night Football for you and go over the results of our player prop draft from yesterday. For those of you guys that might have missed it yesterday, what we did is we went draft style, snake draft. I picked first, JL second, Coop on the other end. We took turns drafting props that we liked for last night's game. Some game totals as well were thrown in there. Whoever got the most correct, they were all relatively similar odds, is going to be the winner. The other two have to do an impression conversation of the other host's choice, and that host is more than welcome to take suggestions from the audience, from the chat, if they want to. So let's look at these player props real quick, see how it went. We'll go through the draft. I started us off hot with David Montgomery over 10.5 receiving yards. Bonk. Yeah, absolutely
Big
bonk on that
bonk.
one. Not a
Big bonk.
single target, not a reception for this dude. It was looking rough. Forgive me. I did not think this Bears offense was going to move the ball against a Patriots defense that seemed to be trending up. I thought for sure they were going to have to get Montgomery involved in the receiving game, and didn't happen. Did not happen. This Bears offense apparently figured out how to play, or the Patriots defense forgot. Which one was it?
I don't know.
Coop, as the Patriots fan, was it the Patriots defense, or was this a Bears offense taking a step up?
Patriots defense has not been that good against the run, so I don't know. And they did not spy Justin Fields, that's for sure. I think that a little combination of both. Patriots just were not ready to play.
They were not ready to play. And Justin Fields, he looked pretty good last night. He looked better.
Yeah, making it work.
Making it work. Obviously, there are moments where he's not looking like maybe where people hope he is, but you see flashes from Mr. Justin Fields out there. But I was bonked on that one. JL, you had the next pick. You took Ramondre Stevenson over 63.5 rush yards. Bonk.
Bonk. Yeah.
Double bonk so far.
Yeah, my I also put in Prize Picks. We have a little internal league just for fun. You got some funny money to play with, and I put an entry in on Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. And Damian Harris, both of them were in that entry. And I took the more on both of them to their rushing yards, and that did not pan out. Didn't run a lot yesterday. Those Patriots, those rascals.
We should have seen the Patriots being in a big hole to the Chicago Bears and having to throw the ball. Like, why didn't we see that coming? Just ridiculous that we didn't predict that. JL, that's going to be a bonk for you. Coop, you had the next one. Darnell Mooney, under 45.5 receiving yards. Bonk. Another bonk right there. That one, again, I think this was a game script thing. We all expected the game to go one way, and it didn't.
Yeah, pretty rough, dude. But, I mean, we hung on for a little bit. But yeah. And it continued to not go well because I also was up next after that. And I picked Jacoby Myers over, right? For his, what was it?
4.5
His
receptions.
And the thing is, this guy has always been a reception guy. And the problem is that he doesn't score touchdowns. So what does he do? He goes out and has the anti-Jacoby Myers game and doesn't get a bunch of receptions. And he does score a touchdown. So double meat bonk on the turn. Can't.
Double meat bonk.
Dante Pettis was the next pick by JL, under 1.5 receptions. And I swear, JL, for how many times they said his name yesterday, I was like, oh, JL missed this one. Like, I just feel like every time I looked up, they were like, Dante Pettis. But maybe I just envisioned that. Maybe it was a figment of my imagination because he got one reception, and that one is the first success. Ding, ding, ding. PP for JL.
1 point, JL.
JL's got 1 point in the lead. I was up next. I took Justin Fields over 0.5 passing touchdowns. Ding! I got that one right as well. Justin Fields looking all right. Had a touchdown pass. And then up next, trying to keep the streak rolling, I took the total 40.5, but I said under. Bonk. Another bonk for me. So that's going to be 1 point, ending my game. JL, you took the Bears to cover the spread plus 7.5. They not only did that, they won outright. They won big. That's another point for you, my man.
Woo, ding. If you guys remember, that's the one I swapped out.
It is the one you swapped out.
Moment.
Which we allowed you to.
Which you did, but it didn't matter because my other one hit too. Ding.
Oh, just show off while you're at it, JL. Coop, your last one. You're going to come in last anyways, regardless, because JL has 2. You can only get 1 right here. Jacoby Myers, 51.5 receiving yards. You took the over. It was an anti-Jacoby Myers game. You got bonked.
Yeah, I doubled down. I went all in on Jacoby Myers. He let me down. Very sad. It was a very sad evening
that catch,
for the Patriots.
That catch he had, though, was insane.
That was for everybody else, not me.
Yeah.
I needed to have many small catches. Instead, he makes one big catch. It's just
one really good catch.
Complete opposite of what Jacoby Myers usually does. Phenomenal.
Well, JL, you are our winner with 2 points to 1 point to 0 points. That means Coop and I are the losers. Who are we impersonating? Or it doesn't have to be a person. It can be a vibe as well or something along those lines. What's the impersonation conversation that Coop and I are having right now?
Give me a vibe.
You wish it'd be a vibe. You wish it'd be a vibe.
I'm so...
you guys should have been nicer to me this show.
Give me a vibe of like a fantasy football bro from Massachusetts.
Too easy. There's some good suggestions in the chat. We got Scooby Doo talking to Gilbert Gottfried. Ooh, I like that one. Corey and Nando. That's a good one. That could be funny. Christopher Walken, Morgan Freeman from Shawshank, Gary Busey and Keanu Reeves. Oh my God.
What do you think, JL?
All right. Let's go with. I like that first one. Let's go with Gilbert Gottfried talking to Scooby.
Dude, Scooby Doo is a dog. He doesn't even say words.
He absolutely says words. Have you ever watched?
Coop, you want Scooby Doo or you want Gilbert Gottfried?
Dude, I'll take Scooby Doo for sure.
Okay, I guess that gives me the very recognizable and easy to mess up impression of Gilbert Gottfried. Jill, do we have a topic? Do we want to just like answer some questions, or what are we going to do here?
Let's say you're solving a mystery. solving a mystery, but it's NFL related.
I have no idea how this is about to come out, but I feel like with Gilbert Gottfried, you got to just go for it, right? Like he
Just
doesn't.
go for it. Let it ride.
Scooby.
Yes, it's good.
Did you find something, boy? No, I need you to speak English, Scooby.
Does Scooby talk English?
Scooby Dooby Doo. Now I'm Scooby, but as Gilbert Gottfried. How long do I have to do this?
You nailed it. That's good. Coop absolutely phoned that in. There is not a doubt in my mind.
Like
He
historic,
deserves no points.
does he actually speak? Does he actually speak?
He speaks, and he has that. Like everything starts with the letter R. So Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Oh, I guess he does.
Raggy-doo.
Oh, Raggy. Oh, yeah, I guess he does. Yeah, you should have given me like Christopher Walken or Morgan Freeman or something possible.
I thought the Scooby-Doo dog is the easiest, honestly, out of all of the suggestions.
Oh, he does speak. You're right, dude.
Jay in here with the Ruh-roh Raggy.
We got like a drugged up Scooby-Doo.
Scooby Doo after he got his wisdom teeth taken.
My
out,
Scooby Doo.
He's just drugged out of his mind.
Muzzled Scooby Doo is what Hal said. My Scooby Doo's got to be right there with your Chewbacca as far as bad impressions go.
Yeah. Man, now that Jail, your impression of me doing an impression of Chewbacca is spot on.
Pretty good.
Like
Pretty
just
good, right?
A+. Honestly impressed. Whew. Okay. You know what? Now we're warmed up. Whenever we do this next week, I'm gonna be ready. But the problem is I'm gonna win next week, so you guys are gonna have to do something. And we can spice this up. We can take suggestions from you guys going forward on what impressions you want to hear, and maybe
Great
some
suggestions in the chat.
maybe we set some like time limits like that we have to do going forward, because I do feel like we got out of it a little bit easy there. We did a short conversation.
Way too easy.
Or maybe it's like a segment that we have to do. Like you have to do the whole next segment, like, or answer a question from the chat fully in character. That might be the move. You gotta,
we were so focused on Coop phoning it in. We forgot to mention Simon. You nailed the Gilbert Gottfried. Nailed the Gilbert Gottfried, and I respect it. You went for it.
A lot of heart, dude. A lot of heart.
I don't think I nailed it, but I think maybe you could tell what I was trying to do, which is all I'm really going for with an impression.
The worst thing you can do with an impersonation is go half in, half out.
Which is what I
got to go all in.
I don't know. I went all in on Chewbacca, and that was about worse than if I had gone half in.
No, that was great. You owned it.
I feel
actually Chewbacca. It felt like you backed it, like you got close to the edge, then you're like, ah.
Jail, I'm telling you, that was my best effort. That was every last fiber of my being trying to be Chewbacca. Guys, in this game, we hit on some of the player props and why they hit or why they didn't hit, but we skipped one of the biggest stories. Mac Jones did get benched for Bailey Zappi. We've talked a little bit about it already, but Jail, I wanted to get your take. We asked Coop a little bit earlier. What do you think is going to happen here? Is Bailey Zappi the starter going forward? I saw about 1 million tweets approximately saying Mac Jones to the Colts yesterday as soon as Bailey Zappi got put in the game. What's going to happen here?
Yeah, this is interesting. Zappi looked good. He was slinging it when he was out there. I can't imagine that Bill Belichick just starts sitting Mac Jones for that we have some sort of carousel. I think Coop talked about it earlier in the show. That doesn't really work out, right? That's an easy way to sort of get just destroy your culture and your team, which, it's the Patriots. It's Bill Belichick's culture, so I don't know how much culture there is, but
that stadium was vibrating when he got put in, though, with excitement. It was I could see it visibly shaking. It seemed like every fan in there was just vibrating out of their skin. They were so excited for Zappi to get in there. But Jay, I think I agree.
Boy, did they get tricked.
Well, and even on those that first touchdown pass to Jacoby Myers, it wasn't a good pass. Jacoby caught that in spite of the pass that was thrown to him, but holy shit, what a catch that was. I said it yesterday in the Discord if you were hanging out with us, but I'm going to award the first Arby's Oven Mitt catch of the week to Mr. Jacoby Myers for that unbelievably acrobatic grab. Shout out Jacoby. You get the Arby's Oven Mitt catch of the week. It was insane. Whenever they ruled it a touchdown, I was like, oh, this is one of those ones where they don't think it was a touchdown. They're going to review it, overturn it, but they're better to call it on the field as one than to like call him down and then have to take it back or like not have the touchdown awarded. But then they showed the replay. And first I was like, holy shit, he actually caught that ball, but no way did he get up in time to make it in the end zone, right? They definitely touched him. Then they showed that replay and it's like, oh my God, I was like freaking out watching that. It was,
dude,
that replay got me so
such an
excited.
athletic play, like just the amount of athleticism it takes to be able to like change your not only the direction you're running, but like also turn back and catch that ball, which it wasn't like it was close. It was still far off. He still had to extend while like turning that far. It was incredible. That was really incredible crap.
That was a 360 no scope, right? Like
that was a 360 no scope, 100%. And then you're right. Follow that up with a like another amazing athletic aspect to that play is crazy.
The awareness.
I have so much respect for Jacoby.
The awareness of making the play. Because like if I even did the first part, I would still to this very moment, I'd still be trying to catch my breath.
I would be like, did you guys see that? Like there's no way I'd have the awareness to immediately run. I'd be like, oh shoot.
If I hit the turf like that, the wind would have left my body like a ghost. My soul might have left my body. So there's no way I get up and
blows
throw
my
that
mind.
Right. I would have been lying on the ground going,
yeah. You pull Mac Jones, start crying.
I would have cried. I would have cried a little.
If I like hop out of bed without bending my knees, I feel like I like hit the ground with a shock. And these guys throw their bodies as high in the air as they can with no regard for how they're going to land. The only priority is the ball. And then they're like, yeah, put me in, coach. I'm ready for the next play. You're right, Coop. I'd be on the sidelines forever. Like I really think I could hit the ground like that one time.
And Mike Williams is like, I'll just jump over this guy and it's fine because my clavicle will stop my fall.
God, poor Mike Williams. Hallen here saying Mac Jones seemed to have pissed off the media. Lots of reporting on how he's a 4-letter word that's filled with stars. But Coop, the reason I bring this up is I'm curious. You are in the Boston area. You probably have heard some of maybe like the local sports talk radio, some of these guys. How are they talking about Mac Jones?
Dude, Mac Jones is the thing is Boston sports talk media is a disaster. Like there's a show on here called the show on 98.5 The Sports Hub called Felger and Maserati. It's and these two dudes, their sole existence is to stir the pot and just get like 60-year-old dudes to call in and just yell at them. Like, and that's the whole show, and it's entertaining as hell, dude. But like, you can't, if you start listening to that kind of Boston media, you'll lose your mind. You'll lose your marbles. If you listen to the real guys like Evan Lazar and like Alex Barth, who we had on the show on the Sunday morning show, me and John and Pemba did, like those guys will tell you that there's no, he's not doing anything that is really bothering the coaching staff. It's just they're actually legitimately trying to figure out which of these guys is better. If I was the Patriots, what I would do is I would declare Mac Jones a starter for the rest of the year. And if he's not cutting it, then in the offseason next year, you figure out if it's Bailey or Mac Jones and then go with that guy and make him the guy and trade the other guy away. But this whole, starting one guy for half the game, the other guy for half the game, worrying all week who's going to be the starter and not game planning to stop Justin Fields, that's not how you do it. So just pick a guy, move forward with the entire playbook based on that one guy.
Yeah. I see Dustin in here has a very important question for us. Is what is this Arby oven mitt nonsense? Where's the Grimace great play of the game award? Oven mitt catch, it makes sense. Coop, if you had to award something for Grimace, what does he do? Is he an O-lineman performance? Is he the sack of the week? Is he just
Grimace is such a mystery, dude, that it should be like the Grimace mystery, like the Grimace what were they thinking decision of the week, dude, right? Like
yeah.
what exactly, or just anything strange that happens that you can't understand, like why, you know what I mean? Like that's Grimace, dude.
When you look at Grimace, you think to yourself, just why?
What?
Why? That's the Grimace play of the week.
All right. Grimace is already super weird, and then they decided to put 4 eyes on this one for no reason. No reason at all. So yeah, it's there's a lot of why with Grimace. And
so maybe like a player that just came out of nowhere and ruined your week, like just like absolutely showed up out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah, or
maybe
call,
a 2-touchdown Marquise Goodwin performance.
Like I'll give you one, dude. The Cowboys get down to the red zone and they decide to use Tony Pollard in the goal line for the first time ever for no reason, 2 plays in a row, and he doesn't score the touchdown from inside the 3, and then they kick the field goal. Like that's the Grimace why did you do that play of the week?
Dustin says, I feel like JL needs a mascot of choice now. It's got to happen naturally, though. JL, we'll find your mascot partner, your mascot soulmate. Do you have any
now
front
I
runners?
look
Have you
forward
been,
to that day.
have you
For the
been
time
dating?
being, you do have Sir Plant holding down that, but
Back there.
yeah,
He's holding
strong.
it down.
And Poof hiding in there. There's a little Poof in there.
Poof Sir Plant.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to play some fantasy feud. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to answer some questions that we had in the chat. This one comes from Lamb Cup. What's up, Lamb Cup? He said, should I trade
Lamb Cup?
DJ Moore and Devonta Smith for Jonathan Taylor? So DJ Moore and Devonta Smith for Jonathan Taylor. They're asking, now, what if you had to add Curtis Samuel to that as well? So DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Devonta Smith for Jonathan Taylor.
Well, anytime it's a 3-for-1 trade, I always have the same question, which is, who is the second worst player on the guy's team who has Jonathan Taylor? Because he needs to do that trade. That guy needs to drop 2 players to waivers. So you might as well get another player thrown in the trade. It blows my mind when I see 3-for-1s where the trade goes through and then one team drops 2 good players to waivers for the rest of the league to just have. Like, if that guy wants to do that trade, he should be willing to give you his worst player or second worst player, right? So
he's going to have to drop him anyway.
Never do a 3-for-1. Always try and make it a 3-for-2. He's going to have to drop him anyway. That's my opinion on that. For the original trade, do it immediately. You're not using DJ Moore. You're basically getting to trade Devonta Smith for straight up for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah.
A Peach. The Peach to Deej. Coop?
Deej, dude. Is he back? Is he back?
You can't fight the Pigeon and the Deegan or the sun in the sky. Peach is going to Deej all over the place.
I could never say no to a Peach.
A peach. Is that like that's a peanut butter and that's a peanut and jelly? There's no butter in there. You're just putting raw peanuts on some bread with some jelly slathered on top. Get yourself a peach for dinner.
Every time we say it, I think of Luigi, because Maria and I will call Luigi Peach, because say Luigi PG.
Luigi PG.
Luigi PG.
Yeah, I mean, like, as far as snap share, the interesting thing about DJ Moore, like, as far as snap share, does he have the number 1 snap share of any wide receiver? Like, this dude plays every single snap, every single
100.
He played 100% this week. He played 100% last week. Like, if he's not, I know for a fact he's above 95%, and I bet he's either number 1 or somewhere in the top 5. This dude plays every snap. It's just the team blows. So, like, every snap on a bad team is just a bunch of bad snaps.
Yeah, we saw what he's capable of this past weekend, right? Like, that's the DJ Moore that we're all excited. That's who we've been talking about this whole time. Just hasn't been there. Yeah. Oh my God, 100% route participation according to Player Profiler.
100%
number 1
routes.
100%, number 1 amongst all wide receivers.
Do they have the snap share?
100%. Yeah, snap share is 97.2%, which is 3rd amongst running backs.
Pretty much all
Just
running backs. Doesn't get much higher.
Just hurting my feelings. Like, it just hurts my
If
feelings.
you don't know, route participation is routes run per team pass play. So every time that the team passes the ball, DJ Moore is out there running a route, which is great, right? That's opportunity for him. It's opportunity for him to potentially catch the ball.
10 targets, 7 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown. Maybe he's back, or maybe you sell high right now.
DJ Moore just feels like the player where you look at the stats at the end of the year and you're like, all of this checks out. He should be great. What a great wide receiver. So great for fantasy. And then you look at the fantasy production and you're like, what the hell?
Right.
Like, where did that go? Like all of the numbers point to him being like a top 10 guy. And then he's just not. I guess it's a quarterback issue.
You know who he is, bro? He's Brandon Cooks, dude.
No,
he's Brandon Cooks. He is, bro. Where if he has a good quarterback,
he is Brandon Cooks.
If he has a good quarterback, he could score 8, 9 touchdowns. If he has a bad quarterback,
he's going to the Patriots.
He's scoring like 3 or 4. You know,
he's getting traded to the Patriots.
He's our generation's Brandon Cooks. And at the end of the year, you look at it and you're like, oh, look, he had 1,000 yards. But during the season, you were just like, what do I?
You hate it.
You hate it. 1,000 yards in a 17-game season is like what, like 60 yards a game? Cool.
Gross. We had another question in here. B Kings wanted to know, should I trade Josh Jacobs for Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs in a half PPR 8-team, 3 wide receiver, 3 running back league? Their other running backs are CMC, Fournette, Jacobs, and Stevenson, and Sanders. Then at wide receiver, they've got Jefferson, Lamb, McLaurin, and DK. So Jacobs for Diggs or Kupp. Would you guys be making that move?
Half PPR.
That's about as fair as it gets, man. Like, Jacobs is a stud. Those guys are studs.
Yeah, you got CMC, you got Fournette, you got Stevenson and Sanders, yeah, you're stacked at running back. And then Jefferson, Lamb, McLaurin. Dear Lord.
And the thing
It's an
is,
Dear
Would be-
Lord, B Kings, this team.
that team's a wagon. And the thing is, we talked about like where I said Jacobs over Jamar Chase because of the bye week. Well, with these guys, Cup and Diggs have also had their bye week. So I think this trade is exactly fair.
Which of those two guys would you rather have more, Cup or Diggs? That's
Cup.
the season.
Oh, half PPR, maybe Diggs.
It's super close. These guys are in that upper echelon. Give me Cup rest of the season, but it's super close. I want both
Give me
of them.
Diggs. Give me
Diggs.
Diggs.
I'm glad
I
someone said it
know,
because they're
dude.
close enough
I
that
know.
Number one wide receiver on the
Give me
season, Diggs.
Give me Diggs and half PPR.
Diggs,
and Cup and full
Diggs,
PPR.
Diggs.
How's that for a cop out, boys?
Love
Dig-
it.
Diggs half
I love a
PPR,
good
Cup
cop
full
out.
PPR. Mm-hmm.
this one
Yeah,
comes
but
from
I-
Bronson. He says, do I trade Kamara and DK for Mixon and Amon-Ra St. Brown? They could also trade Kamara and Sutton. But so Kamara plus either DK Metcalf or Cortland Sutton for Mixon and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Coop,
Do it.
you making this move? Jail, you're making it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys know my thoughts
Make
on
it
that.
happen.
I'm trading Kamara because I'm scared they're going to let that court date hit and have him eat the suspension at the end of this year. I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
Yep,
There's solid
it's-
value there to get back on Kamara, where it doesn't feel like that's even factored into the price that much here. So yeah,
The
do it.
stupidest thing the Saints could do is have Kamara push that court date back, not make the playoffs this year, and then start next year with that guy having a 4 or 6 game suspension. That's the stupidest thing they
Yeah.
could do. Like
It
they
would be pretty dumb.
they better make the playoffs if Kamara doesn't face that court date. And
Do
I'll
they
tell you,
know that he? But they don't necessarily know that the court date will lead to the suspension, right?
So
Can
I
they
talked-
do that?
I talked to
they-
Drew. I talked to Drew Davenport, and basically, this is like the preliminary hearing for this type of case, right? And what they can do in this event is settle with this guy. Like if they just go to this guy
Gotcha.
and hey, tell you what, you drop the charges, we'll give you $1 million, right? Which when you're $1 billion sports team, that's not that hard, right? So basically, his opinion is that they push the court date back, and if they are not going to make the playoffs, they could basically turn this guy and say, here's $2 million, make it all go away. It immediately goes away. The NFL can then immediately suspend Alvin Kamara. If they're contending for playoffs, they can push out the court date again and then do it in the offseason, and then it gets suspended to start next year. Like you have to think about
Does the NFL suspension process though? Does that happen immediately? Can they choose that?
the NFL is like the way the NFL works, man, is they're trying to distract. They use Roger Goodell to distract us from what's really going on. This is a group of owners that
I understand all that. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, like what the process is, like the timing of it
the
all.
process is they can do whatever the hell they want, man. Like
Okay.
their rule of thumb is that they won't suspend a guy until after the court hearing. So Devontae Adams shoving the cameraman on the ground. Had that guy not pressed charges, Devontae Adams probably would have been suspended for one game this weekend. Because there are charges being pressed, they won't suspend him. So Devontae Adams won't get suspended until that goes to court, right? So Alvin Kamara, they're not going to suspend him until that goes to court. So if they push it out past the season, Kamara won't get suspended this season, right? The Vikings with the Star Caps incident years ago, the two brothers that were the linemen there, the Williams brothers, they pushed theirs out until throughout the full season. They got away with it, and then they both retired before the court date. So they never got punished. Like that's how this works. But if the league is on the side of the owners, on the side of what's best for the league, if it's best for the league to push through a suspension and have Kamara miss the end of this season, then I believe that they'll do that. I don't see why they would be like, you know what, we need to make a stance here, and we're not going to let you do what you want to do. They're going to let them do whatever they want to do. They're on team Kamara, team NFL, team Saints. They don't care about what's right for this guy, this random guy in Las Vegas, who is a victim in this situation. You know, and I hope he gets paid. I hope he gets a lot of money.
Because we had a question in here from Mariana. Mariana wanted to know, should I trade Keenan Allen for Ezekiel Elliott? It's a half PPR 10-team league. JL, are you going Keenan Allen or Ezekiel Elliott here?
I think that's pretty fair. And it's going to depend on your team.
So we
think
got the
it's-
team here. The other running backs are Devin Singletary, Kenneth Walker, and CEH. The other wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, Corey Davis, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, and Brandon Cooks.
So you need wide receiver help, and you're trading for Keenan.
No, trading Keenan away, it looks like, for Ezekiel Elliott.
No, I don't think I'd make that move. I think you have a little more depth on the running back side, and I wouldn't be trading away that Keenan Allen, who seems to be your wide receiver 2. I don't fully
I
remember
agree.
the list, but I think so.
I agree with JL. When we talk about Zeke sneaking in as a back end RB1, that's not a high upside conversation. Keenan
Yeah.
Allen has higher upside than Zeke. So I'm with you, JL.
Trading for a guy whose value like you think will rise, like a speculative trade. Typically, I don't like to make those moves if I'm not strong in a position, right? I'm only really making those moves if I have an excess in some position.
Right. When we say Zeke's going to become an RB1, that doesn't even necessarily mean his value is going to rise. That just means that he's a guy that he's very consistent and he plays every single week and guys get hurt. Like if you look at the list right now, like just by the fact that DeAndre Swift is coming back, Jamal Williams is going to fall out of that top group. Breece Hall is going to fall out of that top group. Zeke could basically just keep doing exactly what he's doing. And as long as he doesn't get hurt, like Antonio Gibson is going to fall out of that group ahead of him, right? Like look at the whole list ahead of him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is ahead of him. He could do the same thing he's doing right now and climb 6 spots in the rankings just by the nature of guys getting hurt.
And I think that's likely. Like I think what you just laid out is the very likely scenario. What's going to happen?
Right. If you were to just take him at 19 right now and rule out Breece Hall, Khalil Herbert's ahead of him, Antonio Gibson's ahead of him, Jamal Williams is ahead of him. That's 4 guys right there. Now he's RB 15? Like he could easily just backdoor his way to be an RB1 like he does.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to keep answering some of these questions throughout the rest of the show, but it's time to get into our next game. We are calling Fantasy Feud. If you've ever watched the popular TV show Family Feud, it's very similar. I've got some prompts with a ranked list underneath. I'm going to say one of these prompts. JL and Coop, you will then buzz in by saying your name if you think you know the top answer on that list. Get the top answer right, you've got the option to pass or play. The goal when you play is to guess the rest of the players' teams, whatever the list is on the list, without getting 3 strikes. 3 strikes, and we're going to move to your opponent. Your opponent will get 1 chance to guess one of the remaining players on the list. If they get it right, they're going to steal all the points. Otherwise, those points are yours. We will do 4 rounds. Whoever's got the most points at the end of round 4 is our Fantasy Feud champion. All clear?
All clear.
Let's jump into the first one. Let's go ahead and get started. Here is your first prompt, and a reminder, buzz in saying your name. You can buzz in at any point while I'm reading the question, but I will stop as soon as you buzz in, so you won't get any additional information. Here is your first category. The top 6 scoring PPR players with the last name Brown.
Coop.
JL.
I heard Coop first. Coop, who are you guessing?
I'm going to start off by guessing AJ Brown.
AJ Brown is on the list, but he is not number 1, Coop, which means JL has an opportunity to guess the number 1, in which case he will play.
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown is number 1 on the list, JL. There are 4 more. Marquise Brown with 109.5 PPR points so far. AJ Brown with 95.3. JL, there are 4 more players on the list. If you can name all 4 of these points are yours. Otherwise, Coop will have a chance to steal.
Yeah. Okay. Guessing Antonio Brown's not on this list.
He's scoring a lot of Twitter points lately with his Tom Brady memes.
Dude,
That's for sure.
Dude is off the rails on Twitter. Someone needs to check on him.
So, oh my God, yeah. What was it? I think Coop sent us a crazy one.
It was a
shirt.
T-shirt
With him and
the
Giselle
T-shirt of
hugging.
him hugging Giselle.
Outrageous, bro.
And then the caption was even worse. Like he said, like all proceeds go to kids without fathers. Like he's just throwing horrible shade, being a hypocrite. Right. Just like God,
he's got like five random kids himself. They're like with a bunch of different women. Does he not?
He does.
I don't know.
He does. It's
and they're all named some version of Antonio Brown. Like one of them's named Autonomy Brown. It's like ridiculous.
Autonomy Brown. Autonomy Brown.
I swear to God, that's the real name of one of his children.
Joe, right, so we got the 2. We got AJ Brown and Marquise Brown, the top 2 off the list. Where are you going next?
And the 4?
There are 4 more. So we're looking for the top 6. Numbers 3 through 6 are still on the board.
And St. Brown doesn't count, right?
If they were on the list, I would count that. That would count. I'm not going to say whether or not they're on the list, but that is a name that I would count.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that makes it a little easier. I'll go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 3 on the list. Yes. JL with 80.3 PPR points. Who's next?
Equanimous St. Brown?
Equanimous St. Brown is number 5 on the list with 36.2 PPR points through 7 weeks. So you've got numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. You're missing 4 and 6, JL.
Running out of Browns.
I'm not. I got plenty. I had cheese for dinner last night.
What about Noah Brown?
Froze.
Uh-oh. Did he freeze?
You've got numbers 1 through 5 right now. You're just hoping to get number 6. And that is Coop's last chance. No strikes so far.
Was Noah Brown right?
Noah Brown was
You
correct.
froze.
Number 4. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Noah Brown was number 4 on that list in between Amon-Ra and Equanimous St. Brown.
All right. Last guess. Oh gosh.
Well, you got 3 tries. You got 3 strikes to get this.
Okay. I don't know that he's scored enough. Diami Brown? It's the only Brown I can think of now.
I think that's
Yeah.
it.
It's a perfect sweep. Diami Brown is the last player. You got all 6, which is going to give you 6 points to start this game off.
It really was kind of easy because I just had to think about all the players I know that have Brown as their last name, and they all ended up being in the list.
Where would Browns DST? Are they on the list?
That would have been good. That would have been hilarious.
The Browns DST were above Diami Brown, but I did say players, so I left them off the list. But that would have been.
I bet I know who number 7 is.
Who?
Is it
Malcolm Brown?
Malcolm Brown.
Is Malcolm Brown playing?
That was my guess. Yeah, the Rams brought him back, and he's got like a carry, maybe, which I feel like puts him on the list.
I was too embarrassed to guess him because I thought of him a little earlier on, but I was like, I don't even know. What if he's not on a team? Like, that's going to be humiliating.
He is. The Rams brought him back. He had 7 carries this week. Not bad.
Wow. Cam Akers. New Cam Akers.
7 carries before the bye, which was their.
Did the chat get this one?
The chat did not get these.
Guess in the chat.
Guys, play along. Guess with us while we're playing here. Coop, the next player was actually Pharaoh Brown was the next player on that list.
I forgot. I would not have gotten Pharaoh. Yeah. I forgot that dude existed.
A tight end that's been released and then re-signed. I think he's with Cleveland now.
Yeah, he's one of those players when you're looking at the list and it tells you what team it's on. It just says multi for the year, and we're only in week 7.
This is super random, Coop. But were you the tight end guy when Jordan Leggett was coming in, like back in 2016?
No. See, I've only been doing the tight end stuff for about 4 years, so I was not heavily into it then.
Gotcha.
Why do you ask?
Just I don't know why that thought came to mind, but I was just curious, like what your thoughts were on him. Just I think I was gonna throw Jordan Leggett out as another joke, and then I wonder if you actually.
He's Clemson.
Never mind. Yeah, never mind.
Jolly Rancher in here guessing Charlie Brown. Great guess.
Brown.
He was next after Pharaoh Brown on the list. He is a football player.
If they just let my man kick some field goals, dude.
Right? Dude would be scoring all over the place. We're going to move on to our next category. Reminder, buzz in. Coop, you got the buzz in early last time, but guess the second one. JL stole it.
Dustin said, this is a little shady, I think. I don't know what that means.
JL stealing it. Maybe that's what's going on. Here is the next prompt. The top 6 selling NFL jerseys as of June 30th, 2022. Okay, JL.
That's tough.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is not on the list of the top selling NFL jerseys for this year as of June 2022.
For this year.
So Coop, you got to guess to try to play this one.
Okay. Let me guess. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is number 2 on the list. Coop, you got that one. So you are going to get to play this one. You got 3 bonks left. If you can get all of them without getting all 3 bonks, you will win some points. Or you can pass if you want. You can choose to pass as well.
And then what happens when I pass?
JL gets the first go at it, and then all you have to do is get 1 right to steal the points.
Oh,
so it's a little bit riskier. You're passing?
I'm going with the risky. Yeah, I'm going to pass. I think this is a difficult question.
You get to play.
All right.
And we got some guesses coming in the chat now.
I'll go in. I don't get a bonk, right? Because the first one was just the first round.
Right. You have no bonks right now, JL.
No bonks. I got a clean slate. Let's go with Allen's counterpart, Stephon Diggs.
Diggs is not on the list. Bonk.
Bonked him.
Dang, dude, the Diggs disrespect. All right, let's go with biggest, most high-selling jersey. I feel like there's got to be a rookie in there.
I was gonna say
It ain't
remember
Brees
the
Hall.
date, June 30th, 2022 was the date. What's your guess, JL?
I'll go with Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is not on this list. Bonk.
Dude,
That is two
yeah,
bonks, JL.
That's crazy because that's what my guess would have been if you gave it back to me like now. Like, because I in my mind I'm like, all right, Tom Brady's always been on the list when he was awesome, so Mahomes got to be on there. But that throws me for a loop that Mahomes isn't on there. I really truly thought he would be on that list.
JL, you got two bonks.
No. What do you want from me?
Correct it. Well, actually, I just want an answer. It doesn't
No.
matter if it's correct or wrong in my case.
June 30th. Why that date?
That was the date
What
of the
is the
statistics that I
significance
pulled. The
of
significance,
that
I'll say,
date?
is just before the season started, but after the NFL draft. This was like key off-season time.
At least get another point
Joe
before you give
Burrow.
it back to me.
Joe, you're guessing what?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is not on this list. Three
Ah.
bonks, 3 and out. Coop,
Name every player.
All right.
you've
Pick
got
every
5
single player
players
in the
left
NFL.
on this list. If you can name one, you will get 2 points.
Okay. Now
Good luck.
this is tough, but I gotta think here. All right. The Rams won the Super Bowl, and Matt Stafford was a Super Bowl MVP. Give me Matt Stafford.
Matthew Stafford is not on the list.
Oh my
JL is
gosh.
going to get the point. And guys, Dustin read this one perfectly in the YouTube chat. He said, think of big players that switched teams. Number 1, Russell Wilson was the top selling jersey at this point in the offseason. Number 3, Devontae Adams on the new Raiders team. He was number 3 on the list. Number 4, Dale, you were on the right path with the rookie whenever you started talking it. You had the wrong name, though. Kenny Pickett was a number 4 selling jersey at this point. The only first-round quarterback. So he was the only first-round quarterback selected. Fan bases get excited when they take a first-round quarterback, right?
Stupid. It's a consolation prize.
Number 5, Coop, you said this name out loud when you were talking about JL's picks, but then you didn't say it. Tom Brady is number 5 on the list still. And then number 6, Mac Jones was number 6 on this list. Mac
Oh, I
Jones
wonder
is the
who
6th
all these
best-selling
Patriots
jersey.
fans are gonna have to.
Yeah, my mom actually texted me
New
last
wardrobe.
night and said, "What do I do with my Mac Jones jersey? You hold on to it, baby. You wear it. You wear it for half the game. You wear it for a quarter."
This is why you can't follow consensus, right? Because like just the easiest way to break out of like consensus groupthink is just look back on what we thought was true or what like the masses thought were true just 6 months ago or a year ago. Everybody was saying Trevor Lawrence is a bust and that Mac Jones is the best QB out of that class.
LA
Wouldn't say that today. Wouldn't say that today.
Those are the worst fans, dude. You can't buy some Stafford jerseys after you win the Super Bowl. Unbelievable.
Instead, you're just like hammering Kenny Pickett jerseys. He gets drafted. You buy 10 of them. You're like, hell yeah, this is the guy.
Steelers fans are loyal. They're loyal.
Before we move on to our next prompt, Joe, you've got a 7-0 lead. We had a question from Evan come in here. He said, I was offered Kelsey for Derrick Henry. My RBs are J-Rob, CMC, and Saquon. Should I accept? So they've got CMC, Saquon, and James Robinson outside of Derrick Henry. Are you taking Travis Kelsey for Derrick Henry?
Is this some sort of keeper league? They must have made a trade at some point.
They had to have.
I'd rather have Derrick Henry.
Even with
I'm just
CMC and Saquon sitting on you?
Yep.
I'm
Sitting on you.
Yeah. Just sit there and start CMC, Saquon, and Derrick Henry and talk mad trash to your whole league all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Listen, the last 3 weeks, just listen to this. 30 attempts, 28 attempts, 22 attempts, 20 attempts the week before. Like this dude, running backs don't see that, right? There's no other running back in the league who sees that type of usage. You
have three amazing running. Like you can't break up those stallions, dude. Just keep it. That's awesome.
Ride him with the
CMC, Saquon, Henry. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
That's high.
You'll find a tight end.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want on your team. Yeah.
I don't think Rob. Oh wait, no, that's a different question. Never mind.
No, that's the question we were looking at.
Trade James Robinson for Evan Ingram.
Yeah, if you can trade I feel like you can get more than Evan Ingram probably for James.
Trade him for
Robinson.
Dallas Goedert.
That's about right.
Trade him for Greg Dulcich. That's more than Evan
No.
Ingram, right? I'm just trying to
Yeah.
incite Coop a little bit here. We can fight about our tight end loves right now. We have
Rocking here.
another
So, fellas, I had Brees in a 10-team PPR. We start 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, flex, tight end, and a QB. Still have Eckler, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Rashad White, Brian Robinson. Do I trade from my wide receivers, which is DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Olave, AJ Brown, Godwin, and Mooney, for a running back? So Brock's asking, should he trade one of his wide receivers for a running back? I think.
No. I still think even with Brees Hall going down, the strength of this team, at least from a starting perspective, Eckler and Kenneth Walker is a hot running back duo to start, and you've got a great backup in Tony Pollard. Like I like your wide receivers. AJ Brown, Godwin is hot, but man, I'm probably staying put. I'm not trying to move one of those other guys because I don't know what you're going to get for Olave or Mooney, or if you're going to even get good return on Hopkins right now after he just came back.
Yeah, just start the 4 wide receivers, right? Put Mooney on the bench. Start Godwin at the flex, or 2 wide receivers in the flex. So he's got Godwin on his bench. I don't know. Brian Robinson, I feel comfortable putting him in too. Him or Pollard. So yeah, I would just hang with what you got, my man.
Yeah, I would too.
Triple hang. You guys
Triple hang.
You guys ready to get into the next round of Fantasy Feud? Coop, you've got a chance to come back with this one.
I got to make moves here.
Here we go. Here's your next prompt. Remember, buzz in if you think you know the top answer. The 7 players with the most rushing touchdowns in
Coop.
2022. Who you got?
You know why I said Coop? He has 7 points. I need to get all 7 of these to get back into the good graces, right?
Indeed, you do. So who is it, Coop? Who's got the most rushing touchdowns in 2022?
The most rushing touchdowns this year. I want to say I know at least one guy who has 4. Who has the most?
What's it going to be?
Give me a second.
You buzzed in. Steve Harvey would have bonked you by now.
Yeah, you would have got
He
way
would've-
more.
he
Okay,
would've buzzed
fine.
you right
I'll-
out.
Buzz in and stall.
You guys keep talking though. That's what keeps pushing out the answer that I'm gonna give you.
You're right.
So I'm gonna go with Eckler, Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler is tied for 5th on this list, so he is on there, but JL has an opportunity to steal or to get this round for himself. JL, do you know a better answer?
Let's go with James Robinson.
James Robinson is not on the list. JL, I'm sorry, which means Coop, you are going to get to play Austin Eckler sitting down there with 5 rushing touchdowns on this list. You've got 3 bonks to try to get the other 6.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the stats I do know, which if Eckler is tied for 5th and there are 7 names on the list, that means that somebody is tied for 7th with 4 or 6th with 4, or they're down there. So someone with 4 is on the list. If Eckler is on the list at 5 with, right, that's mathematical. So I know, I looked at it. Miles Sanders, I know, has 4 touchdowns. So give me Miles Sanders as either 6 or 7 on the list.
Miles Sanders is not on the list, Coop.
So there's a bunch of
math.
guys with 5. There's a bunch of guys with 5 touchdowns.
Potentially. Miles Sanders isn't on there with 4. Do with that what you will. You got 1 bonk. No Miles
So you need
Sanders.
at least 5 to be on the list then. Good God.
I just thought of like 6 better answers than freaking James Robinson.
I know. Is Saquon Barkley on the list?
Saquon Barkley is not on the
Bonk.
list. Coop.
Oh,
Saquon
boy.
Barkley has 4 as well, so he's outside of that range.
He has 4 as well. Dang it.
That is 2 strikes for Coop. And I see Hal asking only RB. I said players. Just so everyone is
You
aware.
said players, and we're not talking. Oh, wow. So give me Travis Kelce. He had 4 touchdowns in one game.
So I said rushing touchdowns as well with the
Oh, it's
most rushing touchdowns.
Oh, it's rushing touchdowns.
I'm going to give you that one, but guys, 7
No,
players 7
give
players
it
with
to
the
me.
most rushing touchdowns in 2022. We'll let you have another guess on that one. I
Okay.
confused you by saying it was
Sorry about that.
players, but
I
you're
know you're
good.
Okay. Rushing touchdowns. Give me Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is number 3 on the list with 6 coops. So you've got 2 of them so far. You've got Eckler and Hurts, but you've got 2 strikes as well. So you got to run the table here.
Okay. Give me give me freaking Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is tied with Austin Eckler for 5th with 5 rushing touchdowns.
So dumb, dude. Give me. So I only have 3 of them so far.
You have 3, and there are 4 remaining. You've got numbers
give me-
3, number 5, and number 7.
Give me Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is number 4 on this list. Well, tied with Jalen Hurts sitting right there. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns. So that's another name for you, Coop.
Give me Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is number 1 on this list with 8 rushing touchdowns. There's 2 left. Number 2.
Which ones am I missing still?
Number 2, and then number 5 again. What's it going to be?
Give me who is scoring a bunch of rushing touchdowns. Give me don't balk me.
I'm going to bonk you so hard if I don't get an answer.
You can't.
I can't.
Give me Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson has 4 and is not on this list. That's your 3rd bonk, but you racked up some points, but it's all down to if JL can steal this. You got 5 of them, JL. There's 2 names left. If you get one of these names, this game's over. You win.
There's one name
There's 2
Coop
names
didn't
left.
say,
Oh,
but there's one name that I thought of that Coop hasn't said yet, because there's a bunch that came to mind, and he said it. Freaking right. Took him from me. Jamal Williams.
Jamal's on the list.
Pretty sure he has a ton of rushing.
I bet he's on the
touchdowns.
list.
JL.
He's got a ton of red zone touches.
Jamal Williams is tied with Jalen Hurts and Josh Jacobs for the 2nd most rushing touchdowns in the league with 6. You are going to get 6 of those points, making the final score of this game 13-0. JL skunking Coop in this one.
I'm just making up for what was like 3 weeks of not getting a single win
I had
on
a
this
good run.
show every single day.
I had a good run. Who was the last name?
Hey,
Was it Henry? Was the last name?
Henry was the last one. Derrick
that
Henry
makes
was
sense.
last on that list. At
The
number
moment
6.
you said Jamal Williams, it was all clear to me. Because I was like there's got to be another guy that's way up there. We're not thinking. The moment you said
I was gonna
Williams,
be so mad if
it
you
all
went a
opened up.
full run with 2 bonks. I would have been so mad.
Especially after he gets Kelsey as his 3rd running or 3rd
Yeah.
play that
Well,
had the
'cause I
most
got
rushing
confused
touchdowns
me.
in the league.
All right, let's
Would
hit some
you-
of these questions before we end out the show. JP asking, should I trade Jalen Waddle for Devontae Adams?
Jalen Waddle for
Lateral.
Devontae Adams. I
Sure.
would do it. Did he say
Yeah.
whether it's half or full PPR?
Did not say.
If it's half, I would definitely do it. Otherwise, it's pretty lateral.
Yeah,
Waddle's
Mariana
more
asked-
of a full PPR guy, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a better in that format. Mariana asking, half PPR, 10 team, current running backs.
This
are
was the
Singletary-
team from the previous question we answered, I
Gotcha.
believe. They were just
Okay.
giving us the team for her question from earlier.
Okay.
Gotcha. Pate asking, what waiver wire pickup should I get first between Josh Reynolds, Antonio Gibson, Chuba Hubbard, and Paris Campbell?
I like Campbell.
I was just about to say,
He's
I
playing
think it sounds
every-
odd,
I mean-
but it's Campbell.
Right. At a certain point, you got to look at it. The dude plays every snap, and he's getting 10 targets last 2 games.
I
Well,
think I
can you
would go. I gotta go Chuba Hubbard over Campbell, mainly because he's a running back and he has opportunity here. Paris Campbell, I think, is a little bit more replaceable just position wise, but I'm with you. I'm high on Campbell as a pickup.
I think
And
that's
I
true.
just
yeah.
wanted to go
If-
back to the Waddle.
Okay, if you
Waddle
need a
Adams
guy to
trade
go
for a
in your
second.
flex right now, if he goes right in your flex, Campbell. Otherwise, Chuba is the best upside.
Yeah.
Tommy brought up a great point on that Waddle Adams trade. Adams has had his bye, so this is a relatively lateral move. But with Adams already having his bye, that's just a bonus. That's an extra free week for you. So I'm making that move if I'm you. Waddle for Adams.
All right. Truly epic, as was rapid mode here. Brady or Dak this week? I feel like there's no way you could start Brady, but that's just me.
Dak.
Yeah, I'm going Dak. And then should I trade away Pittman to get DeAndre Swift full PPR?
Absolutely. I'm taking the DeAndre Swift side there.
Yeah.
Could be taking.
Yeah, get
Still got time for one more?
Yeah, let's say one more.
All right, Evan in here says, hey guys, I was offered Kelsey for Derrick Henry. My running backs are J-Rob, CMC, and Saquon. Should I accept?
We hit that one. Remember, we're going to roll with CMC,
Derrick
Saquon, and Derrick Henry, the squad, the triplets. Everybody who tuned in this morning, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. But right after this on this channel, make sure you're hanging out. Moose and Keith is up next, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. And then we've got Corey Nando and friends a little bit later. And a reminder, that's where you take all of your tough questions. And I believe they agreed to also do a Scooby-Doo versus Gilbert Gottfried impersonation conversation so we can compare them back and forth. So everyone, make sure you go watch Corey and Nando and remind them about the promise that they made to do that. We will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And good morning to all the Hogs.
Arrivederci.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Way